I watched a man beg for his life at my cousin's wedding, a gun to his head, cold words about betrayal, and then the most dangerous man in the room turned and looked directly at me. He told me to forget what I saw. He warned me to disappear back into the party. But an hour later, when he pulled me onto the dance floor and whispered that I was nothing, I did something unforgivable. I kissed him, right there, in front of everyone. "You have no idea what you just started, Piccolola," he whispered against my ear. That kiss painted a target on my back. Suddenly, I was a weakness for a man who couldn't afford to have one. His enemies saw me, and they were coming. But here's the thing about falling for a monster. Sometimes the monster is the only one willing to burn the world down to keep you safe. This is the story of how one reckless moment pulled me into his world of shadows, and why leaving was never an option. This story will show you that love doesn't always arrive wrapped in safety and comfort. Sometimes it comes from the darkest places, and the person the world fears most becomes the one who protects you fiercely. Choosing to stay when everything screams at you to run, that's not weakness, that's courage. If you've ever loved someone the world didn't understand, this story is for you. My life broke in two at my cousin's wedding. The estate was a dream of glowing tents on rolling hills. Sophia married into serious money, and I did not belong. I felt clumsy in my pink bridesmaid dress, watching people who never had to worry about rent. Then I saw him. He stood on a stone terrace, surrounded by men in expensive dark suits. He was their center. He was not loud, but he was the center of the room. People orbited him. He was tall with dark hair and a jawline like a blade. His eyes were cold. For a second, those eyes found me, and I could not breathe. Someone bumped me, and I looked away, heart racing. "Stay away from him." My friend Clara appeared beside me. "Who?" I asked, but I knew. "Dante Moretti," she warned. "He is not a bad boy, Elena. He is the kind of dangerous that makes people vanish." I laughed nervously. "I am serious." Clara gripped my arm. "Promise me." I promised. Later I escaped the noise, walking into the quiet, fairy-lit gardens. That is when I heard angry voices. I froze. I saw three men over a man on his knees. One held a gun to his head. "You thought you could steal from us?" he said. "Moretti does not forget." Then Dante Moretti stepped into view. He moved like a predator, calm and deliberate. He did not raise his voice. "Take him to the East Warehouse," he ordered quietly. "Make him understand betrayal." The kneeling man began to sob. I stepped back, caught my heel on a stone, and gasped. Every head turned. Dante's eyes locked onto mine. His gaze was cold calculation. "Go," he told his men without looking away. They dragged the man off. Suddenly, we were alone. "I am sorry," I whispered. "I did not see anything." He moved closer, making running feel pointless. "You are Sophia's cousin," he stated. I nodded, my throat dry. "Elena." Hearing him say my name was a shock. "Go back to the party," he said softly. "Forget this." "I will," I promised. As I turned to leave on shaking legs, he spoke again. "Elena." I froze. "If you tell anyone what you saw, I will know." His voice was like silk over a blade. I ran back inside. Clara found me instantly. "What happened?" she asked. "Nothing," I lied. "Just needed air." The crowd parted, and Dante Moretti stood before me. He held out his hand. "Dance with me." It was a command. Clara gripped my arm, but everyone was staring. Refusing felt more dangerous than accepting. I placed my trembling hand in his. His grip was firm as he led me to the dance floor. When his hand rested on my waist, my breath caught. "You are afraid of me," he murmured. "Should I be?" I asked. His lips formed a cold smile. "Yes." He smelled of cologne and danger. "Why ask me to dance?" I whispered. "Because everyone is watching," he answered. "If I ignore you, it means you matter. If I dance with you, it means you are nothing." The words stung, even if they were meant to protect me. I will not say anything, I promised again. I know, he said. You are smart, Elena. A reckless feeling flared up. The song ended, but he did not let go. Be careful, Piccolola, he murmured, his eyes dark. This world is not kind to innocent things. On a wild impulse, I rose onto my toes and kissed him. It was a brief touch. I pulled back, my face burning with shock. His expression was unreadable. He leaned close, his lips at my ear, and whispered a promise and a threat. You have no idea what you just started, Piccolola. Then he was gone, leaving me trembling on the dance floor. I did not sleep that night. I kept seeing his cold eyes and the gun. I heard his voice turning my name into a warning. And that kiss. What was I thinking? In my tiny apartment, I groaned. I had kissed a mafia boss, a man who makes people vanish. He had warned me, and I had thrown myself at him anyway. The memory made my stomach churn. His words, "You have no idea what you just started," echoed in my head. Monday morning came too soon. I went to my job at the small art gallery, desperate for normal. I was in the back when my boss Margaret found me. "Elena, there is someone here for you." I frowned. "Me?" Margaret nodded. "He asked for you by name." My heart stopped. I walked to the front of the gallery, and there he was. Dante Moretti stood among the paintings, looking completely out of place in a suit that cost more than my rent. When he saw me, his expression flickered. "Elena," he said smoothly, "I would like to buy a piece." My boss was thrilled and quickly left us alone. I approached him, my pulse racing. "What are you doing here?" I demanded. "Buying art," he said, his voice mild but his eyes intense. "Why?" "We need to talk," he said, glancing around the gallery. "I have not told anyone," I whispered. "I kept my promise." "I know," he said, stepping closer. "I smelled that dangerous cologne again. That is not why I am here." "Then why?" His jaw tightened. "You should not have kissed me." My face flushed. "I am sorry." "It was seen," he interrupted quietly, "by people who now think you matter to me." His words were a shock. "But you said I was nothing." Something dark flashed in his eyes. I lied. "There are people who would hurt you to hurt me," he said. His voice was low. "Do you understand?" A cold fear took hold of me. What do I do? "You stay with me," he commanded, "until they believe you mean nothing to me." "But will that not make things worse?" "It is already done, Piccolola." He said the name softly, and my heart jumped. "When you kissed me, you chose this path." The room felt smaller. "I did not ask for this." "I know," he said, his eyes softening. "But that is the reality. What now?" He took out his phone and typed. A number appeared on the screen. "Save this. If a stranger approaches you, you call me." My hands trembled as I saved the number. "I do not understand," I whispered. "Why do you care what happens to me?" He was silent for a moment. He reached out and gently brushed a hair from my cheek. The touch made me forget how to breathe. "Because innocent people should not be broken," he said softly. "Not by me." The bell on the gallery door rang. An older couple came inside. Dante's face became a cold, professional mask. "I will buy that painting," he said, pointing to a landscape. "It costs $4,000, I said. He handed me a credit card without a second thought. After he was gone, I looked at the card he had left. Dante Moretti, private investments. Just a name and a number. I should have thrown the card away. I should have blocked his number, but I put it in my pocket. That night, I was locking the gallery. I saw a black car parked across the street. The engine was running. My heart sank. With shaking fingers, I called the number Dante gave me. He answered immediately. "What is it?" "There is a car," I whispered. "It has been here for 10 minutes. Go back inside. Lock the doors. I am 5 minutes away." He hung up. My hands shook so much I almost dropped the keys. I finally got the door locked and moved away from the windows. The car did not move. 4 minutes later, a second car arrived. Dante got out. I could see the anger in his body. He walked to the waiting car. The window came down. I could not hear their words, but I saw the controlled rage in Dante's posture. He turned and walked to me. I unlocked the door. "Who was that?" I asked. "No one to worry about," he said. His eyes checked me for any harm. "Are you okay?" I nodded, but it was a lie. I was terrified. "Come," he said gently. "I am taking you home." "I have my car." "Someone will get it for you tomorrow," he said. "You are not driving alone tonight." His car was pure luxury, quiet and powerful. He drove without speaking. I gave him directions with a shaky voice. When we stopped, he turned to me. "You are safe," he said. "I made sure of it." "For how long?" I whispered. His jaw grew tight. "For as long as I must." I should have left. I should have run inside and locked my door. Instead, I asked, "Why are you doing this?" He stared at me. His dark eyes were impossible to read. "Because you kissed me, Piccolola," he said quietly. "In my world, that is a promise." Then he reached over and opened my door. It was a dismissal. I walked to my building and did not look back, but I felt his eyes on me the entire time. I heard nothing from Dante for 3 days. I should have been relieved. Instead, I checked my phone all the time. I jumped when the gallery door opened. Clara called me twice about the wedding. I lied to her. I said everything was fine. I told her the dance with Dante Moretti meant nothing. On Thursday, my phone buzzed. An unknown number. "Dinner, 8 o'clock." An address was attached. My heart pounded. It was him. Me. Why? His reply was instant. "Dante, we need to be seen, and I want to." That last part stole my breath. Me, is this a request? Dante, no, wear something nice. I stood in my closet, lost. My clothes were simple. Nothing was right for a dinner with Dante Moretti. I chose a simple black dress from a gallery opening. It was safe. At 7:45, a driver knocked on my door. He led me to the black car. The restaurant was from a movie. The lighting was low. The tables were far apart. A hostess led me to a private corner where Dante waited. He stood up when I arrived. The simple act made my stomach flip. He wore a dark suit with no tie. He looked incredible. "Elena," he said, pulling out my chair. I sat down, feeling like I was in someone else's life. "This place is lovely," I said, avoiding his eyes. "I thought you would like it." A waiter appeared with wine. When he left, there was only silence. "You said we needed to be seen," I began. "Who is watching us?" "Someone is always watching," he replied. "That is how this world works." "And what should they think when they see us?" His eyes met mine, and my face grew warm. "That you are under my protection," he said. "That to touch you is a grave mistake." A small smile appeared on his face. "By sitting here with me, looking like you want to run." "Trust me, Piccolola," he said. "The message is very clear." I took a drink of wine. "I still do not understand why you are doing all this." "Do you not?" The question was soft. I thought I did, but I needed him to say it. "You barely know me," I whispered. "I know enough," he said. "I know you work for little pay. I know you take the bus. I know you have a degree in art history that you cannot use." My eyes widened. "You investigated me." "Of course," he said without apology. "I had to know who you were." "And what did you find?" "Someone who does not belong in this life," he answered. His face softened. "Someone good." That word stayed between us. "I am not that good," I said. "If you were, you would not have kissed me," he finished for me. "That was the most honest thing done to me in years." Honest? I almost laughed. It was foolish. "Perhaps," he said, drinking his wine. "But it was real." Our dinner arrived. We ate in a heavy silence. I felt every move he made. Every time he looked at me, my skin burned. "Tell me something true," he said suddenly. I looked up. "What?" "Something real. Not a fact I already know." I paused, then spoke quietly. "I am scared. I am scared of all this, of making another mistake." He was quiet for a long time. Then he reached across the table. His fingers gently touched mine. "You should be scared," he said. "But not of me. Never of me." The brief touch felt like fire. "Your turn," I whispered. "Tell me something true." His jaw tightened. "I have not been able to stop thinking about you since the wedding." My breathing stopped. "Dante." "I tried," he said, his voice low and rough. "I told myself you were a problem to be managed. Then I saw you in the gallery. You looked at me like I was a monster, and all I wanted was to prove I could be something else." "What else could you be?" The question was softer than I meant. "I do not know," he said, pulling his hand away. "That is the problem." He drove me home himself. The car felt small and close with just the two of us. "The night." "Thank you," I said when he stopped at my building. "For everything. Do not thank me yet." He gripped the steering wheel. "This is not over. When will it be? When I know you are safe." He met my eyes, his intense gaze leaving me breathless. "Or when you tell me to leave." "And if I do not?" The question escaped me. Danger sparked in his expression. "Then we find out what is next." I should have gone. I should have walked away from the man who had ruined my normal life. Instead, I asked, "Do you want to come inside?" His face was a war of surprise, heat, and control. "Elena, my name was a warning. You do not understand what you are asking." "Maybe not," I replied. "But I am asking." He stared at me for a long moment, then slowly shook his head. "Not tonight, Piccolola." Relief and disappointment washed over me. "Why?" "Because when I come to your apartment," he said, "it will be because you know exactly what you want, not because you are scared and looking for an anchor." My cheeks burned. "That is not true." "Yes, it is." He touched my jaw, his gentleness devastating. "There is nothing wrong with it. But I will not take advantage." "What if I want you to?" I whispered. His eyes darkened, his control slipping. "Do not say that unless you mean it," he said, his voice rough. "I mean it," I breathed. He moved closer. My heart pounded in my chest. I was certain he could hear it. His lips grazed my ear. "Then prove it," he whispered. "See me again when you are not afraid, when you can think clearly, when you understand that being with me means walking into darkness." He pulled away. I sat there, trembling with confusion and desire. "Good night, Elena." I got out of the car, my legs weak. I looked back. He was still there, watching to see me safely inside. I realized then I was no longer running from Dante Moretti. I was falling for him. The flowers came the next morning. They were not roses. They were white peonies in a crystal vase. The card just said, D. Margaret was thrilled. A secret admirer. "Something like that," I said, touching a petal. My phone buzzed. A text from Dante. "Do you like them?" "They are beautiful," I typed. "Lunch today," he wrote back. I paused. His words from last night returned. "See me again when you are not scared." I was scared, but I was also drawn to him like it was fate. "Where?" I replied. His answer was instant. "I will get you at noon." He arrived on time, dressed in dark jeans and a leather jacket. He was beautiful and dangerous. "Ready?" he asked, his eyes only on me. I grabbed my coat and followed him to a different car. It was still expensive but less obvious. A dark blue sedan. "Where are we going?" I asked. "Somewhere private." I should have been worried. Instead, I felt a thrill of anticipation. We drove into the hills, to an estate with a long driveway. The house was modern and stunning, with huge windows. "Is this yours?" I asked. "It is one of my properties. I come here to think." He led me inside. The space was full of light. It was nothing like I expected. There was no heavy, dark furniture. The decor was whites and grays with warm wood floors. "It is beautiful," I said. "I am glad you like it." He went to the kitchen. "Are you hungry? You cook?" He smiled a little. "Do not be so surprised." He began pulling ingredients from the fridge. Fresh pasta, tomatoes, basil. His hands moved with skill. "Where did you learn?" I asked from a stool. "My grandmother." His face softened. "She said every man should know how to feed himself." "Tell me about her." He stopped cutting. "Why?" "Because I want to know the real you, not the man everyone fears." He was silent for a moment. Then he started chopping again. "She raised me after my parents died. She taught me what matters: loyalty, respect, and the line between power and cruelty." "Did she know about your work?" I asked carefully. He nodded. "She knew. She did not always approve, but she understood. In our world, you do not choose your life. Do you ever wish you could?" His gaze met mine. Every day. The confession hung between us. We ate on a terrace with a view of the valley. The pasta was perfect. We talked about art and books. I told him about my parents and my dream of moving to New York. "Why did you not go?" he asked. "Money, fear, the usual things," I said. "What if I made it happen for you?" I looked up at him. "What?" "I have connections. I could open doors." "No." The word was sharper than I meant it to be. "I do not want that." "Why not?" he asked. "Because my success has to be my own. Not because of who I am with. Who you are with." His voice was quiet, dangerous. "I do not even know what we are," I said. He put down his fork. "What do you want us to be?" I could not breathe. "Do I have a choice?" "You always have a choice, Elena." "Do I?" "I needed your protection because I kissed you." That did not feel like a choice. "You are right." He stood and walked to the edge of the terrace. "You are in this world now. But what you do next is your choice." I stood beside him. "What are my options?" "I can protect you from a distance. You live your life, and I live mine." His jaw was tight. "Or, you let me in. You accept this thing between us is real, and we discover it together." "And the second option?" He turned to me, his gaze making me weak. "Then you accept all of me. Not just the man who cooks for you, but the man who rules an empire built on fear. The man who makes impossible decisions. The man who will use violence to protect you." "You are trying to scare me," I whispered. "I am being honest." He touched my cheek. "Because once you are mine, Piccolola, I will never let you go." The words should have scared me. Instead, they felt like a promise. "I am not running," I said. "You should be." "Maybe." I moved closer. "But I am not." His control broke. I saw it in his eyes, felt it when his hand tangled in my hair. "Elena." My name was a prayer. "Kiss me," I whispered. "If I start, I will not stop." "Then do not stop." For a moment, we were still. Then his mouth was on mine, and nothing else mattered. The kiss was slow and devastating. He held my face, pulling me against him until I melted. A sound escaped my throat. He pulled back, his breathing ragged. "We need to slow down." "I do not want to," I breathed. "Elena." He rested his forehead on mine. "You are killing me." "Good," I whispered back. He laughed, a deep, rough sound. Then he kissed me again, more softly this time. When he let me go, I was shaking. "Stay here tonight," he said quietly. My heart pounded. "Dante, in the guest room," he added quickly. "I just do not want you to go." His admission felt like something cracking inside my chest. "Okay," was all I could whisper. He led me to a bedroom that was as stunning as the rest of the house, a calm space of whites and muted grays that overlooked the valley. He gave me a t-shirt to wear and promised he was just down the hall if I needed him. But my mind refused to rest. I lay awake in the strange bed, replaying every moment between us. Each kiss, each touch, each word was a scene on repeat. Just after midnight, I surrendered. I crept downstairs, barefoot in his shirt, searching for a glass of water. I discovered him on the balcony, holding a glass of whiskey and staring into the darkness. "Can you not sleep?" he asked, his back still to me. "Too much on my mind." I went to the railing beside him. "You as well." We remained in a peaceful quiet for a minute. "Do you have any regrets?" I finally asked. He turned toward me, and I could feel the intensity in his gaze, even in the shadows. "No," he answered gruffly. "My only regret is that I cannot do it again at this very moment." "Why can you not?" "Because you are here in my shirt, looking at me that way, and I am barely maintaining my self-control." His words sent a wave of warmth rushing through me. "Maybe I do not want you to have control," I murmured. His gaze intensified. "Do not start a fire you are not prepared to see through, Piccolola." I moved a step nearer, my heart pounding in my chest. "What if I am prepared?" "You are not." But his voice was tight with effort. "How can you be so sure?" "Because you are shaking." He was correct. I was, but it was not because of fear. "Dante," I whispered. "Go back to your bed, Elena." His voice was raw with restraint. Before I forget all the reasons I am trying to act honorably. I wanted to protest, to challenge him, to tell him to stop handling me like I was made of glass. But I could also see the rigid set of his body, the way his knuckles were white from gripping the railing. So I returned to the house, my entire body filled with an unfulfilled ache. But something fundamental had changed between us in the night, and there was no reversing it. I was awakened by bright sunlight pouring through giant windows and the aroma of brewing coffee. For a confused second, I had no idea where I was. Then all the memories came rushing back. The house, the kiss, Dante's strained voice ordering me to my room before he lost his composure. Warmth spread across my face. I saw my dress from the previous day, cleaned and pressed, laid out on a chair. The sheer efficiency of it all made me grin. It was no surprise that Dante Moretti employed people who worked like ghosts in the night. When I finally went downstairs, he was in the kitchen with 2 cups of coffee already prepared. He was wearing gray sweatpants and a plain white t-shirt. His hair was a little messy, and he was so unlike the composed man in expensive clothing that I hesitated at the entrance. "Good morning," he said, offering me one of the cups. "Morning." I accepted it with gratitude, my hands warming around the mug. "Thank you for all of this. I need to drive you into the city shortly. I have appointments this afternoon." A strange look crossed his face. "But I needed to ask you something before we go." "Okay." He was silent for a second, as if he were picking his words with great care. "There is a function tomorrow evening, a benefit gala. It is required that I go, and I would like for you to accompany me." My stomach did a little flip. "As my date?" "As a person under my protection who should be seen with me," he clarified, then paused. "But also, yes, as my date. Will that not make our situation more complex? It is already complex." He came closer, and I could smell the scent of his cologne, which was lighter and more personal this morning. "But you were correct last night. We have to determine what this is between us, and that requires us to stop hiding." "I do not own anything appropriate for a gala," I said, my voice thin. "I will arrange it. Let me handle this, Elena." His tone was kind but resolute. "Please." I should have protested, should have insisted on keeping a measure of my own freedom, but the reality was that I wanted to accept. I wanted to be the woman on his arm, to take another step into his universe. "Okay," I whispered. A warm light entered his eyes. "Okay." The gown was delivered to my apartment by a courier later that day. It was a rich emerald green that seemed to shimmer with light. It was tasteful and refined, but not overly modest. It was a perfect fit. which ought to have been a shock, but it was not. Of course, he would have known my exact size. Clara called me right as I was putting it on. "All right, what in the world is happening?" she asked. "I saw you at Lucas with Dante Moretti last night." "Elena, that restaurant is more expensive for one meal than what you earn in a week." "It was only a dinner," I replied, which was not entirely a falsehood. "Just a dinner with a powerful crime figure. Do you hear what you are saying? He is not—" I paused, because he was, and deceiving my closest friend was beginning to feel terrible. "Clara, I am not able to explain it all right now, but I am all right, I swear it." "Are you out of danger?" "Yes." "Are you certain? Because if he is making threats or pressuring you—" "He is not," I cut in with firmness. "I promise. The situation is complicated, but this is what I have chosen." She stayed silent for a very long time. "You are developing feelings for him." It was a statement, not a query. "I do not know," I breathed. But that was another lie. The gala took place in a historic hotel in the city center, a place of marble columns and crystal light fixtures. I felt as if I had entered another era. Dante guided me inside, his hand resting firmly on the small of my back. The attention of everyone in the room followed our movements. "They are all looking," I murmured. "Let them." His voice was steady. "You are beautiful." The praise sent a pleasant warmth through me, even as nervousness knotted in my stomach. These were not average citizens. I saw faces from the news, politicians, corporate titans, individuals with the kind of influence that could build or break cities. And I knew that somewhere in this crowd were men just like Dante, men who ran empires from the shadows. He presented me to so many people that I smiled and shook hands and struggled to keep the names straight. The majority were courteous, their interest concealed behind well-practiced expressions. But I could sense the weighing in their gazes, the inquiries they left unspoken. Who was she? Why was she present? What was her significance to Dante Moretti? I wished I had the answers to those questions myself. About 2 hours later, Dante was pulled away for a discussion with a few older men in very expensive suits. Their posture was stiff. Their voices were hushed. "Remain here," he said quietly to me. "I will return in a moment." He stepped away, and I stood by myself near the bar, feeling completely vulnerable. "So, you are the one." I spun around to see a woman observing me. She was gorgeous, impeccably dressed, and had cold eyes. "I am sorry," I said. "The girl who has captured Dante's focus." She gave a smile that never touched her eyes. "I am Isabella, a very old friend." The emphasis she put on the word friend suggested it meant something entirely different. "Elena," I answered softly. "I am aware." She moved nearer, her voice lowering to a conspiratorial tone. "Allow me to give you a piece of advice, Elena. Men in Dante's position do not have relationships. They have acquisitions. And once they grow tired of them, they are discarded." The words were a sharp sting, though I tried to hide my reaction. "I do not believe that is any of your concern," I replied, making sure my voice was even. "Perhaps not." She sipped her champagne. "But do not claim that I failed to warn you. This world will chew up and spit out little girls just like you." She turned and left, leaving me feeling deeply unsettled. "Do not pay any attention to her." I flinched. Dante had materialized beside me, his face grim. "How much of that did you overhear?" I asked. "Enough." His jaw was clenched. "Isabella is resentful because our involvement ended 2 years ago. She does not represent my feelings." "Is it the truth?" I whispered. "That you simply collect possessions and then get rid of them?" He pivoted to face me directly, his gaze piercing. "You are not a possession, Elena, and I have no intention of ever getting rid of you." "Then what am I to you?" "I am still trying to understand that myself." His hand found mine, his fingers weaving through mine. "But you are not insignificant. You are not a temporary amusement." And you are absolutely not like anyone who has come before you. His words calmed a deep-seated fear in my heart. Dance with me, he said softly. He guided me out onto the floor. And on this occasion, when he drew me near, I did not pull back. I allowed myself to melt against him, my head resting on his chest, feeling the steady rhythm of his heart under my ear. I am sorry, he murmured, for her, and for all of this. This is not your doing. Is it not? His arms wrapped more tightly around me. I pulled you into this life, fully aware of how difficult it would be, aware of how people would scrutinize you. I made my own decision, I said in a low voice, and I am continuing to make it. He leaned back just enough to meet my eyes, and the raw vulnerability in his look stole my breath. Why? He asked, his voice strained. Why would you select this? Why select me? Because you are the first man in a very long time who has made me feel like I am more than just scraping by. The honest words tumbled out before I could hold them back. Because when we are together, I feel truly awake, truly alive, even when I am terrified. His hand rose to cup my cheek, his thumb gently stroking my skin. You completely disarm me, Piccolola. Every defense I have ever constructed, you simply walk past it. Is that a bad thing? I have not decided yet. He leaned forward, touching his forehead to mine. But I know for certain I do not want this to end. The music swelled, and we moved together in the middle of the crowded ballroom, surrounded by scores of people but entirely alone in our private world. Take me home, I whispered. Back to your home. His breathing hitched. Elena. I am not afraid any longer, I interrupted. Or perhaps I am, but it does not matter. I am tired of waiting, Dante. I am tired of being cautious. His eyes grew darker with a mix of passion and restraint, both fighting for dominance. Are you certain? I have never been so certain of anything in my entire life. For a single suspended moment, we just stood there. Then he reached out for my hand. His hand closed around mine, pulling me from the dance floor. He said, "Let's go," and I followed him into the night. My heart pounded with a terrifying excitement. I knew I was about to cross a line forever. The drive to his house in the hills felt like an eternity. Dante was silent, his jaw clenched. One hand gripped the wheel while the other was near mine. The air between us was thick with unspoken energy. I kept my hands folded on my lap, certain he could hear my heart beating. He spoke quietly, his eyes fixed on the road. You can still change your mind. I will take you home. No questions asked. I am not changing my mind. His fingers tightened on the steering wheel. Elena, I want this. I interrupted him, my voice shaking less than I felt. I want you. The words stayed in the air between us. He parked in the driveway and killed the engine, but did not move. He turned to me, his face serious. If we do this, he said softly, everything will be different. I know. I will not be able to let you go. Do you understand? The intensity in his voice made me shiver. Yes. Then come inside. The house was dark and still. He led me past a large living room with windows that overlooked the dark valley. The sound of my heels echoed on the hardwood floors. At the bottom of the stairs, he stopped and faced me. Last chance, he whispered. I did not answer with words. I reached up and kissed him. His control broke instantly. He pulled me hard against him, his mouth claiming mine with a hunger that took my breath away. I gasped as he deepened the kiss. One hand tangled in my hair, the other pressed into my back, holding me tight. I relaxed into his embrace, my hands grabbing his shirt. He lifted me up like I weighed nothing. My legs wrapped around his waist as he carried me upstairs without breaking the kiss. He kicked a door open and we were in his bedroom. It was filled with dark wood and clean lines, with a huge bed in the center. He set me down and we stood there, breathing heavily. I have imagined this, he said in a rough voice, his hands framing my face. Ever since that wedding, I have pictured you here, In my bed. Then why are we still wearing clothes? The question surprised me, and I saw a fire light up in his eyes, because I want to do this right. His thumbs gently traced my cheekbones. I want to take my time with you. I want to learn every sound you make. I kissed him again, stopping his words. He smiled against my lips. Impatient, Piccolola. I am scared you will change your mind, I admitted. Never. He turned me around, and I felt his fingers on the zipper of my dress. I am going to make sure you know who you belong to. The zipper went down slowly, and cool air touched my spine. His lips followed the trail of my bare skin, and I trembled. So responsive, he whispered against my shoulder. The dress fell to the floor, leaving me in my underwear. I felt more exposed than ever before. He turned me to face him. The hunger and tenderness in his eyes made my knees weak. You are beautiful, he stated plainly. Before I could speak, he lifted me and laid me on the bed. He stood over me for a moment, just watching. I fought the urge to cover myself. Do not hide from me, he said softly. Never. He then joined me on the bed. His weight and his warmth filled my senses. His mouth found mine again, this time more gently. His hands explored my body with careful focus. Tell me if I do anything you do not like, he murmured. I could only nod, already lost. Time seemed to stop. His shirt came off, then his pants. The feeling of his skin on mine made me gasp. He kissed my neck and my collarbone, driving me wild with his patience. Dante, I whispered, not sure what I was asking for. I know, Piccolola. His hand moved lower down my body. I arched against his touch and a soft sound escaped me. That is it, he encouraged. Let me hear you. The world became only sensation. His mouth, his hands, and his body above me. I was shaking, caught between desire and fear. Are you okay? He asked, pulling back to see my face. Yes, I whispered. It is just, I have never. He understood. His eyes showed surprise, then tenderness, then something else. Why did you not tell me? He asked gently. Because I did not want you to stop. I should stop. But his hand remained on my waist, his thumb drawing small circles that made me shiver. Please do not, I whispered. This should be special. It is special, I said, touching his face. Because it is you. I saw his control crack. His eyes darkened, and his body grew tense. I will go slow, he promised in a rough voice. You tell me if it hurts, or if you want to stop. Okay. He kissed me again, deeper this time. His hands were gentle but firm. When we finally came together, I gasped at the sharp feeling. He stopped right away. Elena, do not stop, I begged. Please. He moved slowly and carefully, his eyes locked on mine. The pain faded and turned into a feeling of closeness. The intimacy was so complete, it brought tears to my eyes. You are crying, he said, his face full of concern. I am okay, I whispered back. I am better than okay. He kissed my tears away and started to move again with more confidence. I held on to him, lost in emotion. He told me to look at him. I did. The look in his eyes was a mix of possession and hunger that completely broke me. Mine, he breathed against my skin. You are mine, Elena. And right then, I knew it was the truth. Later we lay wrapped in each other's arms. My head was on his chest. His heartbeat was a steady rhythm under my ear. Are you all right? He asked, stroking my hair. Yes. Are you sure? I did not hurt you, only a little at the start. I paused, feeling my face get hot. Then what? I could hear the smile in his voice. Then it was perfect. His arms pulled me closer. You are amazing. Do you know that? Why? Because you gave me something precious. And now you are asking if I am okay. I looked up at him. Are you okay? His expression was a mix of satisfaction and something softer. I have never been better. I snuggled into him, feeling safe and warm. What happens now? I asked. Now, you sleep. Tomorrow, we will figure everything else out. Promise you will be here in the morning, Elena. He tilted my head up. I am not going anywhere. And neither are you. It should have sounded controlling. Instead, it sounded like a promise. I closed my eyes, letting sleep take me, feeling secure in his arms. For the first time, I felt that choosing Dante Moretti was not a mistake. It was the rightest thing I had ever done. I woke to sunlight and the scent of coffee. I stretched and felt the pleasant ache in my body from the night before. Dante stood by the window in his sleep pants, looking out. He turned when he heard me move, and a warm smile spread across his face. Good morning. Morning. I sat up and held the sheet to my chest. You are up early. I could not sleep, he said, moving to the edge of the bed. I was too busy watching you. That is not creepy, I teased. He laughed. Maybe a little. He tucked a piece of my hair behind my ear. How are you feeling? Happy, I said. A little sore, but very happy. His face softened. I am glad. What about you? Terrified, he answered honestly. I blinked at him. Why? Because now that I have you, the idea of anything hurting you? He shook his head. It is too much to think about. I took his hand in mine. Nothing is going to happen to me. You do not know that. Then you will protect me. Like you promised. He lifted my hand and kissed it. With my life, Piccolola. With my life. Looking into his eyes, I believed him. But neither of us knew the real danger was only just beginning. The next week was a blur of quiet happiness. I worked at the gallery, and Dante handled his affairs. But every evening, he came for me. We learned about each other over dinner, and I started to fall for him. My life had two different rhythms. Clara's worried glances told me she knew something was wrong. Margaret at the gallery just saw my new confidence. I lived one life selling art and a secret one with a man who commanded an empire of fear. The two worlds were bound to collide. It began on a Thursday night as I was closing the gallery. A text from Dante arrived. Stay where you are. Marco is coming for you. A cold dread filled me. I typed back, What is happening? His only reply was, Lock the doors. I will explain later. My hands shook as I secured the entrance and cut the lights, leaving only the security panel active. Within 15 minutes, a dark SUV appeared. One of Dante's men, Marco, stepped out and came to the door. I let him in, my pulse hammering in my ears. Miss Elena, he said. It is time to leave. What is going on? There was an incident. Dante needs you to be in a secure location. I followed him to the vehicle, feeling completely numb. We drove away fast. I asked, Where are you taking me? To Dante's office downtown. He is waiting there. The 20-minute drive took us through unfamiliar streets. We entered an underground garage, and Marco led me to a private elevator. The doors opened into a room defined by power, full of dark wood and leather, with a stunning view of the city. Dante was standing by the glass, a phone pressed to his ear. Relief washed over his features when he saw me. He ended his call and crossed the room in 3 quick steps. Are you hurt? I am fine. But what happened? His expression hardened. We were attacked. A shipment was hit. I lost 3 men. I felt a wave of sickness. It was the Rossi family, he said. They want a war. His hand touched my cheek. They are making it clear that anyone near me is a target. I am bait then, I whispered. No, his voice was sharp. You are protected. That is why you are here. No one can get to you in this building. For how long? Until this is finished. I looked at him and saw something new in his eyes, something colder. What will you do? I asked softly. I will do what is necessary. I will send a message. His tone was empty, a message that shows what happens when they threaten what is mine. That possessiveness should have scared me. Instead, it made me feel safe. Will it be dangerous? I asked. Yes. And you? Will you be safe? His face softened just a little. Is that your worry? Me? Of course, I said. He pulled me into his arms. I have been in this life a long time, Piccolina. I know how to deal with my enemies. That does not stop me from worrying. He kissed my forehead. You will stay here tonight. I want to wait for you. Elena, please, he urged. I looked at him. I will not be able to rest anyway. He considered my face for a moment, then agreed. Fine, but you do not leave this room. Do not even approach the windows. Marco will be right outside. I agreed. The kiss he gave me was fierce, almost desperate. I will be back, he promised. You better be. Then he was gone. I was alone in his silent office. I examined his books and the art on the walls, but it all felt impersonal. The only personal item was a single photograph on his desk. In it, a much younger Dante stood beside an elderly woman with kind eyes. His grandmother, the one who taught him to cook. He looked softer in the picture, before his world had hardened him. The hours crawled by. Sleep was impossible. Every noise in the hallway made me flinch. The minutes stretched into an eternity. At around 3 in the morning, the door opened. Dante entered. My relief lasted only 2 seconds, until I saw the blood on him. Oh my God! I was instantly on my feet. Are you injured? It is not my blood, he said flatly, heading for the bathroom. I went after him. He turned on the water and began to scrub his hands as I watched it turn red. I told you what my life is, Elena. His voice was cold. This is what I have to do. I know. He looked at me then. Do you? Seeing the proof is not the same as hearing the stories. I am not leaving, I told him. You should, he said, drying his hands. You should run as far from me as you can. Is that what you want? What I want is not important. It is to me. I stepped toward him, ignoring the part of me that screamed to run. Tell me what you did. I sent the message that was needed. His face was like stone. The Rossi family now understands the price for coming after what is mine. Is someone dead? Yes. The word was heavy in the air. I should have been horrified. I should have seen a monster. But I only thought that he did this to protect us. Are you safe now? I asked. For now. Then come here. He stared at me as if I were crazy. Elena, I have blood on my hands. I do not care. Come here, I said again. He moved toward me slowly, as if he expected me to recoil. Instead, I wrapped my arms around his waist and held on. He was rigid for a moment. Then he seemed to collapse against me, holding me tight. He buried his face in my hair. You should despise me, he said. I do not. You should fear me. I am not afraid. I pulled back. I am afraid for you. That is different. His eyes searched my face. How can you still look at me after this? Because I know your reasons. I touched his cheek. You are not a monster, Dante. You are a man protecting those you love. That does not make it right. No, but it makes it human. He kissed me then, a kiss filled with desperation and violence. When we broke apart, he pressed his forehead to mine. I do not deserve you, he whispered. Too bad. You have me now. A small, broken laugh escaped him. Promise me one thing. Anything. If this life becomes too much for you, promise you will tell me. I saw the real fear in his eyes. He was not afraid of his enemies. He was afraid of losing me. I promise, I said. He held me close as the sun began to rise over the city. I understood then that choosing Dante meant choosing everything he was, both the good and the bad. I had made my decision. 2 days later, the Rossi family responded. I was at the gallery when Margaret called me to the front. There is a package for you, Elena. I was expecting flowers from Dante. Instead, a small box wrapped in plain brown paper was waiting. There was no return address. "Who left it?" I asked. "A delivery service," Margaret said. I took it to the back office, my stomach twisting. I sent a text to Dante. "Did you send something?" His reply came at once. "Number, what is it?" "Something just showed up here," I typed. He wrote back, "Do not touch it. Marco is on his way." But I could not resist. I opened the box. Inside was a photograph of me walking to my car the day before. On the back, in red ink, it said, "You are not as protected as you think." My hands began to tremble. Just then, Marco walked into the gallery, his face grim. "Miss Elena, we have to go." "They know where I am," I whispered, holding out the photo. They were watching. His jaw was tight. "Come on, Dante is waiting." We went to the house in the hills. Dante was pacing like a trapped lion. He saw me and immediately pulled me into a hug. "Let me see," he demanded. I gave him the picture. I watched his concern turn into cold rage. "Rossi," he said. "This is how he operates. Threats first. What are we going to do? You are going to do nothing." He put the photo down. "You will stay here. I will put guards on you 24/7. I cannot hide forever. You can until this is over." "How long will that be?" "As long as it needs to be." His voice was final. "I will not lose you, Elena." I saw the terror under his anger. "Okay," I whispered. "I will stay." Relief washed over his face. "I need to handle some business. To find a way to stop this before it became a full-blown war. Are you sure you will be safe here?" "I will." He gave me a kiss that was both hard and demanding. "Marco is waiting just outside the door. Do not step out of this house." "I will not. I give you my word." Then he was gone. I was left alone with my thoughts, with 2 guards posted at the entrances. The hours crawled by. I picked up a book, turned on the television, did anything to keep my mind off that photograph and what it represented. They had been watching my every move, following me. They could have attacked me at any time. The realization made my skin crawl with fear. Just as the sun began to set, my phone buzzed. The number was blocked. I knew I should let it ring, but an instinct I could not explain forced me to pick it up. "Hello, Elena." The voice was a man's, smooth and completely unknown to me. "We have not had a proper introduction. My name is Luca Rossi." My blood ran cold. "How did you find this number?" "I have my ways, just like your Dante." He let out a soft laugh. "I hope you enjoyed my little gift. What is it that you want?" "I need you to deliver a message to your lover. Let him know that if he refuses to back down, I will destroy everything he values. And I will start with you." "He will end you," I said, shocked at how certain I sounded. "Perhaps, but not before I have hurt you. And trust me, Kara, I will make certain he is there to see it." The call ended. I just sat there, shaking, the phone still gripped tight in my hand. My first thought was to call Dante, to tell him about the threat. But I knew exactly how he would react. He would do something violent, something that would only push this war to a new level. Before I could make up my mind, I heard shouting from outside, followed by the crack of gunfire. I dropped to the floor on pure instinct, my heart pounding in my chest. More shots, closer this time, fired in quick succession. Somewhere inside the house, glass shattered. Marco crashed into the room. "Miss Elena, we have to go right now." "What is going on? They have found us." "I have to get you away from here." He pulled me up from the floor and started guiding me to the rear of the house. Another burst of gunfire sounded, and I could hear men screaming as the chaos of violence erupted all around us. We reached the garage, where another guard had a car ready with the engine running. "Get inside," Marco ordered. I threw myself into the back seat, and we sped out of the garage. More gunshots echoed just behind us. "Are they coming after us?" I asked, struggling to catch my breath. Marco glanced in the rearview mirror. "Not at this moment. But they will be soon. He was already on his phone. Our location is compromised. I have Miss Elena with me. We are going to the safe house. I did not hear Dante's reply, but I could easily picture his rage. The safe house was an ordinary apartment in a part of town I had never seen before. Marco rushed me inside, swept through every room, and then took his position by the door. "How did they locate us?" I asked, my voice trembling. "Somebody talked or they put a tracker on your phone." He gave me a serious look. "Dante is coming. He will be here in 15 minutes. Those 15 minutes stretched on for what felt like an eternity. When the door finally swung open, Dante came in looking like a storm of contained violence. His gaze locked onto mine, and his face was a mix of overwhelming relief and pure fury. "Are you injured?" he asked sharply. "No, I am fine." He walked right to me, his hands cupping my face as he checked for himself. "What took place? Tell me everything that happened." I recounted the story of the phone call, Rossi's threats, and the assault on the house. His expression turned colder with every word I spoke. "He contacted you himself," Dante said, his voice flat. "He made threats directly to your face." "Yes, and you failed to tell me right away. I was about to, but then—" "You could have been killed, Elena." His voice got louder. "Do you realize that? If Marco had not gotten you out of there—" "But he did," I cut in. "I am safe this time." He stepped back, raking his hands through his hair. "This is the exact thing I was so afraid of. You are in harm's way because of me. This is not your doing." "Yes, it is." He spun to look at me, and the anguish in his eyes shattered my heart. "Anything that happens to you is because of me. Every single threat, every second of fear, it is all because you made the choice to be with me. And I would make that choice again," I told him without hesitation. "You do not mean that." "Yes, I do." I walked toward him. "I am terrified, Dante. I am not going to lie about that, but I am not going to leave you. You need to. Too bad for you. I am staying." He just looked at me for a long time, some difficult emotion changing in his eyes. Then he pulled me into his arms, wrapping me so tight I could hardly draw a breath. "I cannot lose you," he said, his voice raw. "I simply cannot. You will not. Give me your word." "I promise." He kissed me after that, a desperate and possessive kiss, and I returned it with all the feeling I had. When we finally broke apart, his face had hardened into a look of pure danger. "This comes to an end tonight," he said in a low voice. "What are you planning to do?" "I am going to do what I should have done from the very start." He looked over at Marco. "Get everyone on the phone. A full meeting in 1 hour." "Dante," I began to say, "I am finishing this war." He cut me off. For good. One way or another. He left me at the safe house with a detail of 3 guards and a promise to be back before sunrise. I attempted to sleep, but it was impossible. Each little noise made me flinch. Every minute that ticked by was its own form of torture. At about 4 in the morning, my phone rang. "Dante." "It is finished," he said, with no introduction. "What is finished?" "Rossi is dead. His top men have accepted the terms of peace. The war is done." A wave of both relief and horror washed over me. "Are you all right?" "I am alive. That is all that matters. Please come back to me," I whispered. "I am on my way." When he walked in 20 minutes later, I could see the pure exhaustion on his face, the heaviness of his actions. But I also saw the profound relief that I was no longer in danger. "It is over," he said softly, gathering me into his embrace. "You are safe now." I held on to him tightly, and we just stood together in that silent apartment as the sun began to rise. The war had ended, but I understood deep inside that this was only the start of learning what it meant to truly love a man like Dante Moretti. After Rossi was eliminated, Dante's world underwent a change. The news traveled fast through the city's hidden circles. If you cross Dante Moretti, if you threaten what belongs to him, you will pay for it with your life. The conditions for peace he had forced were harsh, but they were also effective. No one was going to challenge his authority again for a very long time. But that kind of peace came at a price. I officially moved into his house in the hills. I stopped pretending that I had another life. The gallery granted me a leave of absence, understanding the situation without needing an explanation that I required some space. Clara's calls became less common, and I realized I was losing her because of the path I had chosen. My previous life was dissolving like a forgotten dream. And Dante, he was not the same. He was more watchful, more possessive. He was always touching me, as if he needed the physical proof that I was real and that I was safe. In the middle of the night, he would hold me so close I would sometimes wake up struggling for air. "Talk to me," I urged him one evening as we sat on the patio watching the day end. "Let me know what is on your mind." He remained silent for a long while. "I took a man's life because he made a threat against you." "I know. Does it not trouble you?" "Why should it?" I turned to face him. "You were protecting me. You were protecting us. I will not sit in judgment of you for that, even if it makes me a monster." "You are not a monster." I reached for his hand. "You are a man who has been forced to make terrible decisions in a terrible world. That is a very kind way to see it. It is the truth." He drew me in closer, and I leaned back against his chest, hearing the steady rhythm of his heart. "I have been thinking," he said in a low voice, "about what is coming." "What are you talking about?" "This kind of life is dangerous. It is never going to change. And for as long as you are with me, you are going to be a target." His arms held me tighter. "I have to know that you see that you truly see it." "I do." "Are you sure?" He leaned back so he could see my face. "Because this is not something temporary, Elena. This is not a stage we are going to pass through. This is my identity, what I am. I know that. And you still pick this. You still pick me." I looked straight into his eyes and saw the raw vulnerability there. The real fear that I would finally grasp what I was involved in and choose to leave. "Every single day," I said softly. "I pick you every single day." Some of the tension left his face. "I do not deserve to have you." "Probably not," I said with a small smile. "But you are stuck with me now." He kissed me then, slowly and with great depth, and I let myself get lost in it. 2 weeks after that, our world shifted once more. I was in the kitchen preparing some coffee when I heard loud voices coming from Dante's office. They were angry voices. I moved a little closer. I was not trying to eavesdrop, but I could not stop myself. "You cannot be serious." That was the voice of Marco. "I am completely serious." Dante's voice sounded weary. "It is the only option. You would abandon everything you have created for her." There was a pause. Then Dante spoke quietly. "Yes." My heart seemed to stop beating. "The families will never go for it," another man said, one of Dante's other lieutenants. "They will interpret it as a sign of weakness." "I do not care how they interpret it." Dante's tone was absolute. "I am finished. I am getting out." "Getting out?" Marco's voice was filled with shock. "You do not just walk away from a life like this. You can watch me." I stepped back from the doorway, my thoughts in a whirlwind. He was planning to leave, to give up his entire empire. All because of me. I confronted him about it later that night. "I heard you earlier today," I told him quietly. "You were speaking with Marco." He froze completely. "How much of it did you hear?" "I heard enough to know you are making plans to give it all away." I stepped toward him. "Why?" "Because I desire a life with you." His voice was completely even. "A genuine life. Not a life where you are always living in fear, where I have to constantly watch my back." "Dante, you cannot do this just for me. I am not only doing it for you, I am doing it for the two of us." He took both of my hands in his. I have spent my whole life inside this world. And what was it all for? For power? For money? None of that matters at all if I lose you because of it. Tears began to well up in my eyes. But what about everything that you have built? I will pass it on. Let Marco take over. He is skilled and loyal. The change would be smooth. Then we could leave. We would vanish, find a new place, and build a life that was just for us. The idea was a powerful temptation. A normal life with Dante, free from constant danger. But I saw the price. He would lose everything he had built, everyone who depended on him. I cannot let you do that, I told him softly. His face changed. What? I said. I cannot let you sacrifice who you are just for me. Elena. I see it, you know. You come alive when you are in charge, when you protect your own. I touched his cheek. That is a part of who you are. I fell in love with all of it, not only the parts that look normal. You should have a normal life, he insisted. Maybe. But I chose an extraordinary one, I said, smiling through my tears. I chose you. All of you. Even the parts that are dangerous. You have no idea what you are saying. Oh, yes, I do. I held him close. I will not let you abandon your entire world for my sake. We can find a way to make this work. Elena, promise me, he started. I cut him off. Promise me you will not give it all up. Promise we will find another way. He looked at me, the conflict clear in his eyes. Then he pulled me into his arms, holding me tightly. I promise, he whispered into my hair. We will find another way. The next morning, Dante was already dressed and watching me from the edge of the bed. I have a gift for you, he said. He opened his palm to show a small velvet box. My heart stopped. Dante. It is not a proposal, he said quickly. Not yet. Not until I can offer you the life you should have. Inside the box was a delicate ring with a single diamond. But I need you to have this as a promise. A promise of what? That I belong to you, completely. He looked directly at me. No matter what comes, no matter how bad it gets, I will always return to you. Tears streamed down my face as he put the ring on my finger. I love you, he said. I do not believe I have said that out loud before, but I do. I love you, Elena. I love you too, I managed to say. He kissed me softly, and I felt his promise settle into my soul. Later, I called Clara. I told her we had to meet in person. At the coffee shop, the space between us felt enormous. You seem different, she observed. I am different. Are you happy? I considered the question. I thought about the danger and the fear, but I also thought of the love, the safety, and being truly seen by someone. Yes, I answered with honesty. I am happy. She watched me for a moment, and then she nodded. Then I am happy for you, even if I cannot understand it. Thank you. But Elena, she said, grabbing my hand, you have to promise me you will be careful. Promise you will not lose who you are. I promise. I meant to keep that promise. But walking back to the car, with the ring on my finger, I was not sure I could. To love Dante was to enter his world. I was learning that his world did not easily let people go. 3 months passed. I stood in his downtown office looking over the city. I felt like a different person than the woman who saw a mafia hit at a wedding. That person was naive and afraid. This woman had learned to exist in the darkness. You are overthinking again. Dante was leaning against the doorway, watching me with an intensity that still made my heart race. Just thinking, I replied. He crossed the room and wrapped his arms around me. About what? How much everything has changed? Any regrets? No, I said, leaning into him. Strange, but no. It was the truth. The gallery had a new employee, and I consulted for them from home. The hours were flexible, which helped with Dante's life. Clara and I spoke sometimes. Our friendship was not the same, but it was still there. My life had reformed around this new world, and Dante had kept his word. He found ways to minimize the risk. He made legitimate investments that were slowly changing his empire. It would be a long process, but he was doing it for us. "There is something I must tell you," he said, his voice low. I felt a chill run down my spine. "What is it?" "I met with federal agents today." My blood turned to ice. "What?" "They are building a case against some of my old associates." He turned me to face him. "They want my testimony. If I cooperate, I am completely free. We get immunity, even witness protection. A totally clean start." His eyes searched mine. We could finally have that normal life. It was the very thing he had wanted to give me before, the thing I told him to keep. "But," I asked, hearing the hesitation in his tone, "but it requires betraying men who have always been loyal." His jaw was tight. "It would make me a rat, the one thing I have always hated." I understood the gravity of his words. In his world, loyalty was the highest law. "What do you want to do?" I asked him. "I do not know." He stepped away from me. "A part of me wants to accept the offer, to give you that life you deserve. But another part cannot betray my own code." I finished his thought for him. "Yes." I went to him and took his hands. "Then do not do it. I mean that. Do not take a deal that will shatter your soul." I looked up at him. "We will find another way. We always do. What if we cannot find another way? Then we will live with the risk. We will keep building what we have piece by piece until it is strong enough to survive." He looked at me as if I were something both precious and brave. "You would really stay with me?" he asked, his voice rough. "Even if it means this life will not change?" "I told you before that I choose you. That is still true." He kissed me with desperation and gratitude. I could taste his relief mixed with his fear. "I do not deserve you," he whispered. "You have to stop saying that." He laughed, a real sound of joy, and held me closer. 2 weeks later, Dante rejected the federal deal. The agents were not pleased. But they had no case without him. They moved on, and we felt a sense of relief. But that relief had a price. "There is talk," Marco said one night. I was not meant to hear it. "Some of the younger crews think you have become soft. They think the girl has made you weak." "Let them think what they want," Dante replied, his voice calm. "They might try to test you. Then I will give them a reminder of why they fear me." I moved away from the door, feeling sick. Even now, violence was always close by. The challenge came a month later. One of his shipments was hit. It was a small loss, but it was a clear message. Someone was questioning Dante's power. I watched him get ready for the meeting with the other family. His face became a cold mask I knew from that first night. "Be careful," I told him. "I always am." He kissed me gently, despite the anger coiled inside him. "I will be back by midnight. Promise." Promise. After he left, I tried to work, to watch a movie, to do anything but think about what was happening. At 11:30, he returned. He was not hurt, just exhausted. "How did it go?" I asked him. "It is done. They will not challenge me again." I did not ask for details. I was learning which shadows to leave alone. He pulled me into his arms, and we just stood there in the silent house, holding one another. "I love you," he said. "I need you to know that, whatever happens, whatever I have to do. I love you." "I know," I said, looking at him. "And I love you. All of you, even the monster inside." "You are not a monster," I said. "You are just a man protecting his own." He kissed me, and I let him lead me to our bedroom. Let his actions say what words could not. Later, as we lay there together, he spoke quietly. "Marry me." I turned to look at him. "What?" "Not right away. Not until our world is truly safe, but someday." "But—" His hand moved across my skin. "Marry me, Elena. Make us permanent." My eyes filled with tears. "Are you sure? I have never been more certain about anything." "Yes," I whispered. "Someday. Yes." He held me closer. and I drifted to sleep listening to his heart. The ring on my finger reflected the moonlight. 6 months later, our life had found a kind of rhythm. I was teaching art history at a local college. Dante had moved more of his operations into legitimate businesses. We had dinner with Marco and some of Dante's less dangerous contacts. We spoke of the future, of a real wedding, maybe even children. But the darkness never truly disappeared. I could see it in how Dante always scanned a room. I saw it in how his guards never truly relaxed. Hushed phone calls could still turn Dante's face to stone. Our life was a strange piece, caught between love and violence. One evening, Dante asked if I missed who I was before. I told him I sometimes missed the safety. He asked if I would ever go back. I thought of the girl I used to be, so small and quiet, not truly alive. No, I said, I would not change a thing. He held me close. Even with the price you paid? Especially because of the price, I answered. It led me to you. Epilogue. A year later, I stood before a mirror. The dress was white, simple, perfect. Clara was there, fixing my veil. We had found our way back to each other. You look lovely, she said. I feel terrified, I told her. She just smiled. That is how you know it is real. I knew Dante was waiting below. We would have a small ceremony, making our bond final. It was always meant to be. I felt the ring on my finger, a promise he made months ago. Soon another would join it. Clara asked if I was ready. I thought about the fear and the darkness that brought me to this moment. But I also remembered his love, the way he truly saw me. Yes, I said, I am ready. And I went down to meet the man who saved me. He taught me that real love is not always safe. He showed me that light can be found in the darkest places. Choosing to stand by him through all the danger was the bravest choice I ever made. Elena's story reminds us that we don't need someone to rescue us. We need someone who sees us completely, shadows and all, and chooses to stay anyway. Real love isn't about finding safety. It's about finding someone worth being brave for. Sometimes the deepest love grows in the darkest soil. Thank you for staying until the very end. If this story touched something inside you, please hit that like button, drop a comment sharing what moved you, share it with someone who needs this message, and subscribe to become part of our family. Your support means everything to us.